All right, what's up, everybody? How's it going? Just a little afternoon coffee to get me going for this session. Okay, so yeah, what's going on, man? How's everybody doing? How's life treating you today? It's super, super hot in California, where I'm at. It's super hot over there too. It's like I don't even want to be outside. It's like crazy. So today, you guys have been asking about poetry, so I kind of want to give you a little bit of like taste of poetry, just a poem that I found from back in the day. But first, I kind of want to talk to you guys about what they're expecting in the ELA section, and of course, we'll know more once they release the handbook. But yeah, what's up, Tony? How's it going? Uh, Zach, what's going on? Brielle, how do I say that? Is that right? We're saying Paul. Muy bien, dude. Muy bien. All right. So what's up, bros? Yeah, we can jump into poetry. Unless you guys have any other questions that you want to rip off with, then we can totally do that. But yeah, just a quick bump from my website, tylertutor.com, for all SHSAT studying. It's there. There's tests, diagnostics, there's games and classes and worksheets, and there's a lot. So like always, check it out if you're looking to do more work outside of these streams. Teniola, what's up? Also, if you have any questions, even if you think it's like a super stupid SHSAT question, like just something as dumb as like when is the test, you can always ask me, tylertutortestprep@gmail.com. I'm always answering emails. So yeah, I don't mind chatting about the SHSAT pretty much. All right, chill. So I do want to get into poetry today because I think that'd be cool to work on. The key here is two things that we're going to have to focus on when we're doing poetry here. We need to keep two things in mind. One, punctuation. Look, so to Tammy, to answer your question, yes, it will help for the ninth grade SHSAT. And yes, you should look for more advanced resources. You could always email me here. Someone actually emailed me yesterday about ninth grade SHSAT. I got some materials I can send your way. Also, you can look to study for the SAT. So in poetry, I guess I should specify that's what I'm jabbering about. We have to look at the punctuation. That's super huge, and it helps a lot of kids with understanding what's going on in the poem. Follow the punctuation, right? I guess I could whip up an example. I don't really have one in mind. I could be like, what could it even be? Something like, okay, so just like a phrase like this would be in a poem. Yes, yes, this is a very, very good poem. I like the blue velvet on your arm. So this would be two lines in a poem. Now, the way that it's written right now, a lot of people would read it the way that I just read it, where you would go, I like the blue velvet on your arm. And that makes no sense. Like, it makes no sense. I like the blue velvet on your arm. I mean, I guess it makes sense because you say I like the blue, whatever the blue is. You might be referring to the ocean, to the sky, to whatever, or the feeling of the blues, whatever. You could be saying that I like the blue. Down here, velvet on your arm. That's another sentence. So you could be saying I like the blue thing and that there's velvet on your arm. And because it's poetry, kids get this and they go, okay, that makes no sense. But this is poetry, so maybe it's just an imagery thing. I like the blue as an imagery. But that's something I would caution you against. Unless you know for sure that that's what they're going for, you generally want to try to understand what's going on. So, actually looking at this piece of poetry, notice that at the end of this first line, there's no punctuation. That's why when you read through this, you read through it straight. I like the blue velvet on your arm. Bang. Now it makes sense. He's not talking, there's no imagery in here. There's no kind of, how do you say, like, a like rhetorical kind of like poetic thing going on. He's just saying, I like the blue velvet that's on your arm. And if you notice that there's no punctuation, just keep reading. I know poems are stacked on top of each other, but you really, really just need to treat it like a normal sentence if there's no punctuation at the end of it. And I find that this gives a lot more clarity to poetry for people. If you're paying attention to the punctuation, then it's so much easier. Now, if I have something like this, then we have some weird kind of poetry statement that I'm not aware of, right? Because we don't have enough context. Okay, cool. So let me switch over on my computer to the poem that we're going to look at. Okay. Okay, cool. Whoa. Are you guys like on mobile right now? Or are you guys like on tablets or what are you guys on? Because this is big enough for me to read, but if you need me to make it bigger, there's not much more else I could do, actually. Okay, so here is a poem from the 1900s. It's so great. So why don't you guys take like I'll give you guys like 3 to 4 minutes to read this and just like write done or whatever in the chat when you're done reading it so I know like how everybody's doing speed wise. All right, give this a shot. A childish tale. Remember, follow the punctuation, not the line breaks. Yeah, and I see a couple people chatting about the ninth grade SHSAT. The ninth grade SHSAT is to change specialized high schools or to get into one if you didn't, and you'd be starting there as a sophomore instead of a freshman. So as far as like the math that is on it, you have to imagine that it's SHSAT math plus whatever you learned freshman year. So there's going to be a lot more intensive geometry. There's going to be a lot more intensive graphing and quadratic equations, very similar to the SAT. As far as the English goes, it's definitely going to be very, very similar to the eighth grade SHSAT. They're just going to be harder passages and harder questions. So, and the percentage you have to get in for the ninth grade test is a little harder to get because there's less spots. Yeah, so study Algebra 1 for sure. Study Algebra 2 if you can get into it. Yeah, geometry, crazy. Princess Jinchi, if you're looking for some geometry help, hit up my website, tylertutor.com, and there's a geometry swamp game. Make sure to get those concepts first before you jump into crazier geometry, I guess. Okay, well, Jinchi, just hit up my website. Okay, Brielle is done. What'd you think of the poem, Brielle? Were you inspired? Man, I'm so tired. Oh my gosh, guys. That's good that there's no punctuation error. I mean, okay, people are kind of finishing up the poem. Yeah, totally. And you can always send me an email too if you are looking for even more study material. If you got the motivation to study, I got the motivation to help you. Yeah. Okay. So, does anyone need more time reading this poem that I was like talking over while you were reading? I wonder if I... Okay, so let's go over this. So, what did you guys think of the poem, by the way? What are your takeaways from this poem? I guess is what I'm curious about. Okay. Oh my gosh. All right. This did not work out like I was hoping. Hold on. Okay, chill. This is still a new program for me. All right, whatever. Okay, so what did you guys think about this poem? We can definitely jump into some geometry in the second half of the session today, but I want to chat about this because I think it's interesting. Okay, so let me move. It was understandable. Oh, good. I'm glad you understood it because to me it was like, what? Like at first I was like, I don't understand what they're talking about, why he's talking about it like this or whatever. Okay. Main guy's sense of his sadness. Okay, Brielle, that's excellent. All right. So let me ask you guys some questions that I think are relevant to this poem and SHSAT style questions that I think are relevant to this poem. So I'm going to ask these kind of open-ended because I don't want to write answer choices because that takes a lot of takes a lot of work. But answer this question for me, dudes. Okay. So this is the question. How much would tutoring cost? So, Tammy, to answer your question, tutoring can be a little pricey just because of the nature of it. Those programs, those classes that offer for like, for a certain amount of money and then you go to the full program, those I would check at their percentages of the students that they're sending because it's not like a guaranteed thing. But those institutions that do that, they're very intense, and I think that's why it's all one go because they're like, this is going to be tough, and you have to stick it out through the end. So I don't know if that's worth it for you. That's like a conversation, I guess, for your family, not for me. But yeah, there's plenty of materials to study, but the class, I guess, is an accelerated pace. It just depends on which organization you go from. I know that there's some that are very good. They get a bunch of students in. And I know that there are some where they don't get that many students in. So you just have to look for it. Okay, so there we go. We have our first kind of guess at what the steel is. Serenity. So how is steel part of serenity? That's my question. Ah, serenity, as in the calmness that the tree possesses. Okay, anybody else? Strong calmness? Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, actually. Does anybody else have any guesses for this question? Sturdy. Okay. Okay, so just to let you guys know, both of these answer choices would be on the test for this question. I think both of these actually are really, really good. So, I mean, good job on both of these. but just know that they'd be waiting for you with both of these. So why did the author use the term steel to describe the tree? Now we need to go back to the passage and see exactly what he's talking about here. So what it says is, then in a flash I felt a cool and steely serenity descending from those silent boughs. They were not sad with me. And then he goes on. And I felt the steely calm of their strength slip in my heart like a breath. And I was like a awakened man that had drowsed away in death. So notice how I didn't stop unless I hit punctuation. So that should help you with some of the understanding. So notice that in every line up to it, he's like, I sat. Let me move this out of the way so you can see what I got going on here. Right about here, he's like, I sat and I pondered aimlessly under the silent tree. I sat sadly under the boughs that I thought were sad with me. So notice that the first half of this poem, he's just wandering around kind of depressed, right? That's what's going on. And he's sitting down under a tree and he thinks, notice that he says, I thought they were sad with me, right? Then he felt a flash of a cool and steely serenity descending from the silent boughs. Now, this is not literally, I mean, maybe it's literally happening, but no piece of steel is coming down. He's getting a sense of serenity, right? And the reason why he uses the word steely serenity is because that serenity is a strong serenity. It's a strong and unbreakable serenity. So even though the word steely is right next to the word serenity, the word steel itself does not imply, it doesn't, the author didn't use the word steel to imply that it was calm or imply that it was serene. So yeah, even though you are 100% correct that the steel has a quality that brought the author serenity, that's not the reason why the author used it. So even though you are correct in your kind of diagnostic of what it is, just make sure that you're answering the question. Cool? So yeah, really good, nice, really good job, Essences. All right, so let me pull up another question here. Let's see. What? Do you have a question about what I just said, or was that like too crazy? Because I get it. Poetry can be like mind bending because you're like, I understand English. Why don't I understand the string of words that's next to each other? You know what I mean? What else would be a good question for you guys? Isn't described to be sturdy. Right, exactly. So notice that in this question, I see what you're saying. Yeah, so right here it says, I saw that the steel, and I can't, there's no line numbers or whatever. We're saying, Paul, I hate poems too. That's why we're working on them. So notice in this second window here, it says, I saw, in like the second stanza, I saw the steel that was the maple tree. So that's like the strength of the serenity there is the maple tree. That's how you can tie it to the steeliness of it, the strength at least of that serenity. This one poem last year. Oh yeah, the woman and a cat on her bus. Yeah, that sounds horrible. But do you guys understand this poem? I think you guys really do. Let me ask you like a couple more questions just because I just want to make sure that you guys got this. Oh, okay. So here's a question. Brielle, there's normally one poem on the SHSAT. Yeah. Okay, so let's do this question then. and I'm not going to word this perfectly, but because I'm just working. And I do have to cut the stream a little bit short today because I have a tutoring session right afterwards. I think I spelled that wrong. Okay. That's a question mark at the end. Okay, chill. Yeah, so Tammy's absolutely right. People get different forms. So at each testing site, there's a Saturday form and a Sunday form. And even amongst the Saturday forms, like if you're in Queens, you'll get one Saturday form. If you're in Bronx, you'll get another Saturday form. They like randomize it. So the third and fourth stanza start the same. I sat, ... What does the parallel structure of this imply? Yeah, this is a good poetry question. Yeah, I wonder how often kids try to cheat. Like, because they're very serious about it, but I've been tutoring this test for a long time, and I've never heard of any kid successfully cheating. And at the same time, why would a kid admit if he cheated and got in, he would do best just to shut up and never say it again, you know? So I understand why a kid wouldn't brag if he did cheat to get in, but I've never heard about it. Like, they have it on lock for sure. Some people also say that the Sunday test is harder than the Saturday test, but I don't know if that's always true or not, but that's what people say. That his sadness doesn't change too quickly. Oh, okay. Laurel. All right, that's very interesting, Laurel. That's very interesting. It stays the same. Yeah. That's okay. I don't want to say too much right now, but that's a very interesting answer, Laurel. Also, that's a cool name, Laurel. It's like one of my favorite canyons down here. Does anybody else know why they would repeat that? They put policemen in front of the bathroom doors? What? Wait, what? Why? Why would, because you can still go in the bathroom and text your friend. It's not like, do they follow you in? Like, that's kind of crazy. They're that serious about it. Yeah, does anybody else know why the third and fourth stanza start the same way? Oh, did it? Yeah. The Sunday one I hear is hard. ELA on this test is really hard. Really, really hard. And we can go into it, but I think you guys know. Oh, okay. And then my follow up for if the author uses repetition to imply how the mood of the speaker, my question would be then is what is the mood of the speaker and how is it implied through the use of repetition? So when they say something is parallel in structure, I say Paul, when people say that it's parallel in structure, what they mean is that it's parallel, right? It's like two of the same thing. And so because of it, that's like when they say I sat and then I sat again, that's like two of the same thing. So it's basically just saying the same structure or very similar structure. Okay, Brielle. Yep. All right, so let me give you some answer choices on this and then see if that changes your guys' mind. Oh my gosh. Let me get some answer choices. Oh my God, they take pictures of the class? That's crazy. I'm just writing one more answer choice and then you'll be here. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of the poem. Here are your 4 answer choices, so just drop an A, B, C, or D on in the chat for your answer here. Oh, did I delete the wrong window? Dang, hold up. This is okay. All right, so here are your answer choices. Yeah, they try to make it as intimidating. They try to make the test as intimidating, the process, as possible, just to convince you how serious the test is, and like to not cheat and to like take it seriously, that type of thing. So Tammy thinks it's 1. Tammy, you think the answer is 1? Oh, okay. Oh, the screen shouldn't be black anymore, at least. It should be on. Okay. Interesting. Interesting. A or B. You got to pick, right? Nobody likes C. Nobody likes D. That's fine. What is the answer? And not only what is the answer, but why did you choose A over B or B over A or whatever? Still think the answer is 1? Because it's kind of like, at least kind of tricky, I think. I should bring up that poem again. Let me bring that up really quick so you guys. Because this is actually a super hard question. Can you show poem? I can. Show poem. You must show poem. For great. Oh gosh, where did it go? They're right here. Okay. Okay, here's poem. Great. At least with the relevant part of it. Okay. Okay. All right, so let's look at this. So it says a lot of you are bringing up some really, really great points, but this is also why the SHSAT is so hard. Okay. So, like people are pointing out, it's not an easy test. So this is like a step you got to take. Yeah, and Immortal Essence brings up a really good point, right? that him sitting doesn't have that much effect on what goes on, except that he does get some time to think. So let's look at the structure, right? It says, I sat down under a maple tree that rose up lone and bare. Its dying colored leaves were strewn about me everywhere. So he sat down. I sat and pondered aimlessly under the silent tree. I ponder sadly under the boughs that I thought were sad with me. So, yes, he is super sad. Totally. That's so apparent. I mean, he says it right there. I pondered sadly, and I thought that this tree that I was underneath was even sad with me, right? So, yes, that's definitely present. But the question asks, what does the parallel structure imply? Make sure you answer the question. Because saying I sat down under a maple tree, I sat and pondered aimlessly, that saying the word I sat and then I sat doesn't necessarily imply that you're depressed. It doesn't really imply that the level of sadness that you are. Like oftentimes I sit somewhere, like right now I'm sitting and then I have a tutoring session right after, so I'm going to sit. And repeating that implies that time has passed because he sat down under the tree and then he sat and pondered aimlessly. It's showing that this sitting is something that's going to be taking a while, or that he's been doing for a while, to then remind the reader that I sat. Like, for example, if I said I ran to the store as fast as I could, afterwards I ran to the river, and then I ran to the lake. It's like you're going to be implying that I'm running a lot. And just by saying I sat and I sat kind of starts building up and making us think that maybe he's been sitting there for a while. And I forget who pointed it out in chat, but you said, I sat and pondered aimlessly, right? So he's just sitting, and saying that you sat and you sat, that parallel structure implies a passage of time. Yes, I know that he's really sad in this poem, and that's why they have that trap answer. But the parallel structure of those two stanzas indicates that time is passing, right? Right, yeah, exactly. Totally. So, yeah, that's the answer to this one. Yeah, that's the answer. Okay. You guys cracked me up in the chat. Okay. So I only have like maybe like 15 more minutes. Like I said, I got to go through. You guys said, mentioned the tree though. Oh yeah. Do you guys have any questions about that before I jump on to the next one? I know the stream is a little lag. I'm like 20 seconds ahead of you or whatever, but do you guys have any questions that I can answer about this poem or about the poetry? The key here, dudes, I really think you guys are catching a lot of what's supposed to be. Just make sure you're answering the question. Because if I said, what does the steel give to the author? Well, the steel gives serenity to the author. Same question, or different question, same answers, but we're going to choose the other answer because the question changed, right? So, Taz the hero. I overthink a lot. Yeah. So, yeah, that totally happens with poetry. Yeah. I would just try to make as much sense of it as you can, and that way you can get all the extra stuff later. So, parallel structure does not always imply the passage of time. There could be another parallel structure where it's like, I'll write another poem for you guys. All right, so this is not a good poem. I'm not a poet at all. Um, but let me get rid of this window here. All right, here's a beautiful poem. Here's a beautiful poem. So, what does the parallel structure of the two stanzas imply? What does the parallel structure of these two stanzas imply? Oh, is waking? No, I wake up, I wake up. That's just bad handwriting, bro. The repetitive nature. So, what does that imply? Putting gas in the car is important. Work. I think Laurel is probably closest. Yeah, I think Laurel is the closest on this one. And Tammy also with, yeah. So I'm wide awake. You're so woke, Immortal Essences. It implies, to me, what it implies is routine. So yeah, it does emphasize the first. Yeah, don't forget to put the gas in the car. Exactly, Laurel. Yes, he does the same things every day. So yes, it could. You guys are right that the parallel structure does emphasize when you do put your gas in the car. Yeah, that does emphasize that. So that could be correct. The parallel structure does show the repetitive nature of the routine in the morning, right? So it's not always a passage of time, right? So just keep in mind that parallel structure can apply a lot of different things. Just by repeating something over and over, it can, it can help kind of understand what the poem is trying to say. You know what I mean? Chill. Yeah. Okay. So I noticed you guys wanted to work on geometry. Is there anything in geometry specifically you guys were thinking about or have questions on? Or is there anything that you would want to look at? Because I could just give you geometry problems for sure. Oh, nice, nice, nice. Yeah, Discord. I have Discord, but I'm just like, oh my god. It's just like I like go to a couple of them just to like check out what's going on, but the app itself, the interface, I'm like, never mind. Okay, cool. So we're saying Paul wants to do another poem. Anybody else have anything they want to work on? Because if you don't want to do geometry, that's fine. I think I might have another poem that we could do. You want to give random geometry problems and just see how you guys hold on? Would that be? Could we do algebra? Circles? Okay. Yeah, we can do that. Let me see. All right. So let me get a math problem out for you guys. Okay, this is a really good one. Okay, that works. Okay, so let's say this is line X, this is Y, and this is line Z. Okay, so this would be this is so confusing for me. This would be A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, and all of these are angle measurements. Okay. So and this is a harder problem for all you current ninth graders chilling in the chat. Oh, I just messed up this problem. All right, give me 5 seconds. I'm going to redo this. Hold up. Or like 10 seconds. Okay. Too many? Ugh, I keep doing this wrong. Oh, damn. Just spilled my coffee everywhere. I'm a total pro, guys. Oh man, I just spilt my coffee all over my desk, and I'm currently like trying to clean it up, just like using like bits of graph paper. It's like things are going good, guys. Things are going real good. Okay, here we go. Last attempt at drawing this, and if it doesn't work out, I'm gonna give up. Okay, that looks so much better. All right. So let's say X, Y, Z, T, U, and W. These are all angle measurements. Okay. So we know that X plus Y equals U plus W. Let's see. I would be very impressed if one of you guys got this. Okay. Okay, so here's the question. Now that my coffee is completely dissolved either in this graph paper or on the carpet, so dumb sometimes. All right, whatever. Oh. Yeah, that's my beautiful view out of my window too. Zoom in? I can zoom in. Okay, that should have fixed it. So I want to know if it's 1, 2, 3, or any combination of that. It could be 1 and 3. It could be 2 and 1. I want to know which of the following must be true. Oh, this is easy, says Tammy. So cocky. Love it. Can't wait for that answer. I can't tell you if they're congruent. I can tell you x plus y equals u plus w. I actually don't know the answer of this one. Hold on. So Taz thinks it's all of them. Tammy is waiting. Okay. Okay, so what do you guys think about this one? Only 1 and 3. Just 1, just 3. Well, to answer your question, Brielle, they're not all worth. I mean, if they were all equal, they'd be 60, but it doesn't necessarily say that. Because Z and W are parallel. Those are just angle measurements. So, oh yeah, so you could say that they're opposite of each other. You could if you wanted to. 1, 1, 1, only 1, uno, E1. Maybe. I think it's 1 and E, 1 and 3. So I think 2. Oh, wow. Yeah, it seems like you guys are pretty steady on 1. That's for sure. 1 and 3? 1 and 3? Are you guys sure that it's 3? What about 2? You guys don't seem too attracted to 2. For St. Paul. You crack me up, man. Okay. 1 and 3. All right, so let's go through this, guys, because I love how into it you guys are. So let's look at this first one. Can anyone tell me why X and Z are equal to each other? Can anybody tell me why that is? Like, why did you pick number 1 being true? Why is number 1 true? Or if you want to talk about 3, why 3 is true, that's fine too. Opposites. Okay. So the opposite angle to X is T. So X to T, those are opposite angles. This is just 3 angles on a line. So that actually doesn't help out too much. Does anybody else have kind of a thought on why why X would equal Z? Mortal Lessons, you're cracking me up. Why assume that X plus Y? Well, that's just part of the question. X plus Y equals U plus W. That's just part of the question, guys. Okay. So let's talk about this one. So this is the key. Yesterday I talked about this. Why are they giving you additional information, right? So we know that X plus Y equals U plus W. This X and Y equals this U plus W. So one thing to note is this Y and W are vertical angles. Therefore, Y equals W. Whoops, that's not what a W looks like. Y equals single U, not a W. And so if we know that Y equals U and XY plus UW is the same, then that means X and W are the same. And if X is the same as W, W is the opposite of Z, therefore W and Z are the same. Therefore, X equals Z. Because if X equals W and W equals Z, then X equals Z. And I wrote Z, 3, because I'm tired. All right, cool. So that's the first one. What about the third one? Because some of you are like yes, some of you are like no. What are you guys thinking? Z equals T. How do we get that? How does Z equal T? Or does it not? I mean, maybe it doesn't. I'm not gonna tell you what to think. Because we know this is true. Y equaling W, is that true? Maybe. Oh yeah, Tammy, you gotta peep that extra info, homie. Like if they're gonna give it to you, use it. You know what I'm saying? Like if I tell you the ice cream truck is coming around your neighborhood at 7 p.m. and you don't get ice cream later, whose fault is that? You know what I mean? X is equal to T and Z. So Z, I get that. Oh, that is so slick. You're saying, Paul, that's a great explanation. That's really, really nice. Study till I pass out. I think you have reason to heavily disagree with number 2. Definitely. So let me just take you guys through what St. Paul said, which I think is really slick. So we know that since X and T are opposite of each other, that X equals T, right? And we discovered from earlier that X equals Z. So if Z equals X and T equals X, then boy howdy, Z is going to equal T. Bang. Another way you can do this is by saying X and Y, this angle here, is the same as this angle here. We know that since this is on a straight line here, that this whole angle has to equal 180. So it's going to be Z minus whatever this amount is, whatever this magic amount is, or Z plus that equals 180. And we know T plus that same magic amount, whatever this angle is, it's not labeled, will also equal 180 because it's on a straight line. Chill. So because we can just kind of cancel out, we do end up getting that Z equals T that way too. All right, chill. Yeah, Taz, that's actually a really good point. It's all about vertical angles. That's all the information you needed, but you still need to kind of open it up a little bit. Yeah, definitely. All right, chill. So I do got to go. I have a tutoring session in 6 minutes that I have to hit up. But I will be back tomorrow. And in the meanwhile, if you're looking to study more, oh yeah, also definitely like and share this video. If you have any friends who are like trying to study for the SHSAT, I super appreciate all of your engagement. It's been an awesome kind of journey to do this YouTube page. There's my email if you want to hit me up just with any dumb questions. I love dumb questions. This is my website with everything SHSAT, like for sure. You can play games. And if you haven't already, you can take a diagnostic, which is still pretty good. I made it last year, but it's still really relevant. So I would definitely take that if you haven't already and just need to study. All right, dudes, I am out of here. Thanks for hanging out with me today and for studying, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.